what I will be eternally grateful to Sabine for is taking me on the journey to say, number one, you are ready. Number two, leading me to find my own realization that it isn't about me. It's about me being gifted with something extremely important, and my duty is to bring it into the world. So the shift is massive. I mean, it is massive because you just free yourself up to do the job that you're here to do. So my name is Louise Evans, and the name of my company is The 5 Chairs, which actually is also the name of the tool that I've developed. And the idea of the tool really is to help everybody in the world think a little bit more carefully about what behaviors they bring into the world in every moment, and whether they are virtuous or non-virtuous. And let's concentrate on the virtuous ones. So my mission is to try and get those chairs into every home in the world. I was ready to go to Sabine. Well, I didn't realize that I was ready to go to Sabine. I met her, and I thought, having talked to her, I got very quickly infected by her enormous level of positive energy, which I think is something that endeared me to her every single time I met her. Is she brings that to every meeting, and I'm not sure what she's attached to or whether, but it is some source of energy which is quite precious. But when I met her and we talked, I think we had an instant connection, although I think she's, as a person like that in general, she connects very easily to people. It's part of who she is. And I needed to go on a journey. I mean, I've done a lot of spiritual work, I have to say, but I needed to go on a journey within myself in order to step up in life and in my role. And I'd been looking for somebody to do that for a long time. And I think what happened with Sabine, I think I realized that this is probably the right person to do it with, And I think there's a combination about Sabine that I really like, because she lives in Italy, but has German blood. So there's a good mixture of, she's rigorous in her approach and very methodological. And I like that. So, when she was exploring what I needed to work on, we actually made a list of things that needed to be looked into. And I like the way she has a special technique, which I won't reveal, but in order to decide what you think is important to work with and what isn't important. So you have a sort of, you have a list of things to explore. And by the end of the process, she also uses a beautiful color coding method, and takes you from not red, but sort of yellow to green. And when you reach green, it means that you've actually resolved the issues that you were looking at. And it's quite nice to see this happen in a visual way, is that your issues are solved and you move into a green space. So that's something about the methodology. But the other thing is the mixture between a Mediterranean approach that she has and this more Teutonic approach, let's say, which is quite a magical mix. She's very instinctive, and I love the moments where she would shake, or she would feel vibrations go through her body, and she would go, "Ooh, I've just lived that moment." And I often was doing it with her. But the very fact that she can speak these insights into the world really helps the moment of transformation deepen. Certainly that was the experience that I had. And as we worked on some quite deep areas of my own growth, I think what she brings to the table is this ability to pause you and to take that moment and deepen it around an insight that she's had, which could be visceral as well, and not just cognitive. And the visceral insights that she had are very, very exciting. And that for me was extremely important, because I've learned from my own growth is that when you have a shift in the moment, those are the strongest shifts, and you don't actually have to think about it anymore because it's happened. But she knows how to live that shift in the moment and help you explore that enough. And it all comes from a place of abundance in her, which I think is also extremely important, So she's like a champion for you, but she's You know, she's not an easy champion. Like some people can, you know, make it very easy for you, but she challenges you in the right amount of challenge, along with the sense of you're doing a great job, and then along with the sense of, hang on, let's just look at this a little bit more closely. And then it's the checking, have we been into that enough? Do we need to go back into that more? So I think, you know, working with her, apart from being a delight, and also, as I say, she can move from being very fun, loving, joyful into great depth in the session, and move out of she takes you on a journey, which I think is quite rare, really. So a lot of it is about her energy, and also about her infectious laugh, because when she laughs, then she sort of, you know, opens up the world as well. So part of it is being with her as a person. Part of it is the experiences that she takes you into and out of. And then the other, I think, is at the end of the process is the sense of achievement that comes along with that. You know, and it's the first time I've ever come out of a process with colors and with sort of real, I mean, that's pretty difficult to do, I think, when you're working on Zoom, because we were doing Zoom, is to actually feel this shiver go through you as you touch on something which is important. So, you know, this emerging situations, deepening situations, and then hitting barriers, and then maybe working through them, I think was very, very powerful. Yeah, I like the idea of treasure hunt, because I think what happens is sometimes you think you know what you're looking for. But I think one of the things I really appreciated about Sabine is that she will see beyond what you think you have to be working on, or you would like to be working on. And the treasure hunt is, well, this is the egg I need to look at. And in fact, there's another egg behind that egg, which is much more important. So I think that's the ability to take you beyond what you think could be the obvious. And that's quite unique as well, is to have that level of insight. It's maybe not about that, but it's about that, especially when it's not stated, but it's sort of felt. And so when in the treasure hunt, she might take you to another egg and say, well, might it have something to do with that egg there? And that's thought about that. Well, maybe it is. And then you discover a whole lot of other eggs, if we're talking about treasure hunts, which again are very, very important, because they take you to places you need to go and maybe don't desire to go to initially. Yes, the biggest part for me was, why wasn't I allowing myself to go big? Why wasn't I mean, I was really suffering from this imposter syndrome, I suppose you would call it best, is I'm not good enough, and who am I anyway to go on a world stage, etc. And it was quite an important story to take me right back to a situation which I relived in school, for heaven's sake, you know, which is something I always say I have no memory from my childhood. But that journey that I went on with her was, although it was quite painful, it took quite a lot of delving, actually was the key to so much of the mini pathology that I have around this. So, and it took quite a lot of digging, and, you know, touching some very delicate points in myself, but actually being able to cry with them, embrace them, which was very important. So these are moments that you don't forget, because they're in your body after that, in a way. I think that's what I will be eternally grateful to Sabine for, is taking me on the journey to say, you know, number one, you are ready. Number two, leading me to find my own realization that it isn't about me. It's about me being gifted with something extremely important, and my duty is to bring it into the world. And it's not worrying about me, it's about worrying much more about how I get it into the world in the right way. So the shift is massive. I mean, it is massive, because you just free yourself up to do the job that you're here to do. This is your role in life. And And I, for many months, was stuck. So the work with Sabine, it was sort of like, oh, I mean, that reminds me of Sabine. Is like, ding, there you go, off you go, ready to fly. And so there was an awful lot of burden, self-inflicted burden, which lifted from my head. It's like me, and it was like almost immediately, right, off we go, ready, which is quite extraordinary actually for me. I think I would introduce her more than her work, because I think I would say something like, if you want to go on a journey with someone who can really take you places which you haven't been before, with both a lightness of spirit and profundity at the same time, and will keep you on track. I mean, she'll push you, and as I repeat, I really liked the methodological approach that she had. I think if you are really serious about wanting to make some shift in your life, then you can depend 100% on Sabine to help you on that journey. Because even when you get stuck, I love her approach is, okay, you're stuck, that's fine. We're not going to insist on this. We will come back to that. We will work on something else. So you feel psychologically very safe and very comfortable in her presence, obviously. But, I think usually it's like, oh my God, it's heavy work and everything. But with her, there is this lightness of spirit, which really helps you enjoy the journey towards the liberation. And that's how I experienced it. Joy is the first thing that comes to mind when I think of her. She's infectious. I think abundance too, there's that comes to mind too. And positive seems to be a little bit redundant. It's not, something like 1,000 times positive. I very, very, very rarely meet people that have that level of positivity. So those are the things. I think joy, abundance, and positivity comes to mind.